So, the other week I was watching a video from DiBenedetto of Cultaholic, in which he broke down the story of what happened to every inaugural member of the WWE Performance Center. And when I was watching this, something occurred to me. NASCAR has something like this where they develop future talent, and it's called NASCAR Next. So, with that being said, long before today's NASCAR Next Class, we first began developing drivers for this program in 2011, and I would like to review, nearly 10 years later, what has become of that inaugural class of NASCAR Next. Let's begin, starting with Alex Bowman. Now, our first driver to look at really does not need too much of an introduction from me. It's been clearly documented numerous times that today Alex Bowman is my favorite NASCAR driver. In 2011, when Bowman began with NASCAR Next, he was competing in NASCAR's K&N Series full-time for X-Team Racing, where he finished 6th in the standings with 7 top 10s and 4 top 5s, winning Rookie of the Year honors as well. Bowman would also make 2 starts in the K&N West Series, one for Robert Huffman's team at Colorado, which he'd finish in 9th place, and the other for Venturini Motorsports, where he'd finish in 2nd after leading for 23 laps at his home track of Phoenix. In addition to his strong runs in NASCAR's K&N Series, he would also compete in 2 ARCA races for Venturini Motorsports in a number 55, one at Madison International Speedway and the other at Kansas Speedway, in which he would win both of these starts. That success would not lead him into a full-time opportunity with the Venturini family, however it would land him a full-time ARCA ride in 2012 with Cunningham Motorsports as a development driver for Penske Racing. During his time here, Bowman would have a phenomenal season, getting 6 pole awards, 13 top 10s, 11 top 5s, and 4 victories, finishing 4th in the standings in 2012. In addition to this, Bowman would get the opportunity to make 4 Nationwide Series starts in 2012, 2 of Turner Motorsports number 30, and 2 of RAB Racing's number 99, in which he'd have a best finish of 15th at Phoenix. The next year, in 2013, Bowman graduated out of ARCA and raced full-time for RAB Racing's number 99, which was the first time that I began to notice the up-and-coming Bowman. Bowman would sweep Texas for pole awards in 2013, and he would score a total of 6 top 10s, with 2 of these being top 5s, but he was unfortunately released by the team prior to the final race of the season Homestead. Then for 2014, Bowman would begin his Cup Series racing career as a full-time rookie in BK Racing's number 23 car, with Dr. Pepper usually being the car's primary sponsor. However, with that being said, the results were never there for Bowman, and to be fair to him, it's BK Racing. He never got a top 10 for the team, but around this time he would get on the eyes of Hendrick Motorsports by getting 2 opportunities to drive Junior Motorsports number 5 car, once at Charlotte finishing 12th and the other time at Phoenix finishing 17th. The next year, in 2015, Alex Bowman would compete in all 36 Cup Series races aside from the Daytona 500, which he was unable to qualify for, and much like his 2014 run of BK Racing, it was a rough year, having an average finish of 31st in Tommy Baldwin's number 7 car. Then in 2016, things were unclear for the future of Bowman's career. He had stepped in as a development driver to Hendrick Motorsports, helping the team in a big way in their simulator program, and soon he would find himself with the opportunity of a lifetime by not only getting to race Junior Motorsports number 88 and 9 Xfinity Series starts, getting 6 top 10s and 3 top 5s, including a 3rd place finish at Dover. Then when Dale Earnhardt Jr. found himself with a season-ending concussion, Alex Bowman along with Jeff Gordon were tasked with driving the number 88 car in Dale Jr.'s absence. Bowman would make a total of 10 starts and Gordon would handle the rest. While many thought that Jeff Gordon would be the one to get the 88 to victory lane in 2016, it would actually be Bowman who would come closest to doing so. Bowman would get a total of 3 top 10s in his 2016 run, including one day at his home track of Phoenix when Bowman got his first career pole award, and he would lead a total of 194 laps, the most of anyone that day, but in the end it would not be his day as he finished in 6th, but he opened a lot of eyes that day, and people thought that if this guy just had the right car, he could be a winner. Then in 2017, Dale Jr. returned to the driver's seat as Bowman returned to developing with Hendrick's simulator program, but then halfway into 2017, Dale Jr. announced it would be his final season, and Alex Bowman was announced to take over the 88 following Earnhardt Jr.'s retirement, and later in 2017, Bowman would get to make 2 starts in Chip Ganassi's number 42 car in the Xfinity Series with HendrickCars.com on board as a sponsor, and in his first start at Charlotte, he went on to get his first career Xfinity Series victory, and from there, many fans of the 88, including me, felt rather good on the 88 team's future. Fast forward to today, and Alex Bowman is proving to everyone that he belongs in the number 88, having scored 1 more pole award in the 2018 Daytona 500, 27 top 10s, 11 top 5s, and at Chicagoland in 2019, Alex Bowman would put it all together weeks after barely losing to Brad Keselowski at Kansas in a run of 2nd place finishes as he managed to outlast a charge by Kyle Larson, picking up his first career Cup Series victory. And that would not be the only time he'd see victory lane, because as recently as March 2020, before this horrible world pandemic would halt everything for the time being, Bowman had his most dominating performance ever, leading at 110 of 200 laps at Auto Club Speedway to get his second career Cup Series victory, and at this point he is still looking to be very competitive in the rest of the 2020 season. Up next in our list is the one and only Matt DiBenedetto, aka Matty D, aka Matt D Burrito, whatever you want to call him. I'll never forget the day that Matt DiBenedetto won the hearts of millions at Bristol in 2019, coming just a few laps shy of getting his first career Cup Series victory. But what ultimately led him to that moment, which would give him the chance to take over the Wood Brothers 21 car upon Paul Menard's retirement? By 2011, when DiBenedetto was welcomed into NASCAR Next, he had already been building a career as a Joe Gibbs Racing development driver, picking up 3 pole awards, 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and 2 victories in 7 K&N East races for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2009. In 2009 and 2010, he'd make 7 starts in Joe Gibbs number 20 in the Nationwide Series, claiming 2 top 10s and a best finish of 9th at Iowa. However, after being added into NASCAR Next, DiBenedetto would run the 2011 K&N East Series for the first 6 races in number 15, owned by Laerte Zata, after being let go by Joe Gibbs Racing, and then for the following 6 races, his car was owned by Robert Huffman. But during 2011, Matt would score 1 pole award at Iowa, 9 top 10s, 7 being top 5s, and he would pick up 1 victory at Bowman Gray Stadium. DiBenedetto would finish 4th in the K&N East standings in 2011, and on top of this, he would make 2 ARCA starts in Hattori Racing number 14 Toyota Camry, finishing 6th at Salem and 12th at Toledo. In 2012, after losing his K&N ride due to a lack of sponsorship, he was reduced to an extremely limited opportunity race, as he would make only 1 K&N East start at Iowa for Hattori Racing in the 01 car, finishing 20th of 36 cars, and as it would turn out, this would be his final K&N Series start in a rather successful K&N career. In addition to this, Matt would get the chance to return to the Nationwide Series, but unlike last time in a competitive car like Joe Gibbs number 20, he was in a start and park ride of Curtis Key's team, and out of the total of 988 laps that were ran in Matt's 7 race stint, he completed just 34, not even enough to complete his race with the least amount of laps in the 50-lap Road America match. Considering only a year ago he was seen as perhaps NASCAR Next's most experienced and biggest potential to be a star, it was really sad to see where his career had went. Then in 2013, Matt DiBenedetto would take a similar path as he did in 2012 by running in 6 races and failing to qualify for 2 races for Adrian Berryhill's Vision Racing in number 37. And in the races he did make, these were often start and park opportunities as well. However, in a 2018 podcast with NBC's Nate Ryan, DiBenedetto said that he looks back at this time as valuable for the amount of seat time it gave him. Then in 2014, Matt would find himself in a lot more races, running in 29 races for Curtis Key's number 40 and number 46 car, but this car was still limited during these races as he would qualify well, having an average start of 27th, but his average finish was 31st. Then finally, after years of struggling to find his right opportunity, Matt DiBenedetto would get his first chance at a Cup Series car, much like Alex Bowman, by signing with BK Racing, who he would race with for 2 seasons, and in the spring of 2016, Matt DiBenedetto would make his first big statement at a track that would later define his career. At the 2016 Food City 500, driving BK Racing's number 83 car, Matt would get his career best finish of 6th place, driving a car that in most people's eyes had no right to finish that strong. He reminded everyone that he does indeed have talent. Then in 2017, as well as 2018, he would move over to Go Fast Racing in their number 32 car, picking up 3 more top 10s driving for them, and then something happened. With the retirement of Casey Kane and the closure of Furniture Row Racing, it presented a unique opportunity for Levine Family Racing, as they were now in a technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, now using Toyotas. With that, they needed a driver, and the best guy available in 2019 was none other than Matt DiBenedetto. Almost 10 years after being dropped by Joe Gibbs Racing, he found himself in a car that had a close relationship to the Joe Gibbs Toyotas, and in his first race of the year, he looked stronger than ever, leading 49 laps in the 2019 Daytona 500, the most of any driver in that year's Great American Race. While he would eventually be collected in a crash, that would set a great tone for Matt and the number 95 team, as he'd end up getting 7 top 10s and 3 top 5s, including 4th at Sonoma, 5th at New Hampshire, and at the night race at Bristol Motor Speedway, he had the race of his life, staying strong all day, taking the lead later on, and he would remain there, leading for 93 laps, but unfortunately, it did not end the way everyone wanted. Trying to maneuver lap traffic, he was blocked and damaged by Ryan Newman, which left the car not the same as it was, was, and with just a few laps to go, Matt DiBenedetto was passed by race winner Denny Hamlin. Matt DiBenedetto gave all he could, but his Cinderella story appeared to be halted as that same week he found out that he would not be returning the next year in a number 95 car in favor of Christopher Bell, and by all accounts from Bob Levine, this was not an easy decision to come to, and there was a fair share of criticism casted to the number 95 team, but the decision was final. However, things were not over just yet for Matt DiBenedetto. When Paul Menard was set to retire following 2019, his team of the Wood Brothers Racing 21 car asked him who should replace him, and seeing as how the Menard family and their stores plan to continue to sponsor this car, this was probably a good person to ask, and his answer was to simply go get Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto today is now the driver of one of NASCAR's most famous cars, all thanks to his crazy and unbelievable up and down journey since joining the inaugural NASCAR Next Class of 2011. And even though at this point he still has not picked up that first career victory, he has done very well driving the 21 car in these first few races of 2020, finishing 19th at Daytona, 2nd in Las Vegas, and 13th at both Auto Club and Phoenix, and he has continued to do good since we've returned back to racing. I don't know if we will see DiBenedetto grace a victory lane in NASCAR, but I'd sure love to see it happen one day, and hopefully the day will come that he can finally get some redemption for that night in Bristol Motor Speedway. And with the story of Matt DiBenedetto having been discussed, now we can talk about young Mr. Dylan Kwasniewski. Here is one of those guys that we've talked about before on the channel in the Forgotten NASCAR Driver series. So, what became of Mr. Kwasniewski? Honestly, in my opinion, I always thought he had the right look and marketability to become a star in NASCAR, having the support of Rockstar Energy, and not only a 2012 documentary titled The Prodigy, but also a 2013 AOL Online ran reality show called Flat Out. Yes, the young Kwasniewski most definitely looked like he could be a NASCAR star, and at first he had made results that would already make him a NASCAR star. At the time of entering NASCAR Next, Kwasniewski had been having a lot of success in the late model racing divisions. However, just before his NASCAR career was set to take off, he suffered the worst heartache that I'd never wish on my worst enemy by losing his father at such an early age in one of the most impossible to comprehend ways possible. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened to his father, but if you would like to know more, please look into the story yourself. But let's look at Kwasniewski's racing career in better detail. He first made his K&N Series debut in the Western Division with Gene Price Motorsports in the number 03 Chevy sponsored by Rockstar Energy and Royal Purple, and he would debut in the second race of the 2011 season at All-American Speedway. Kwasniewski would impress in a big way by finishing second in his debut race, and then he would finish the rest of the 2011 schedule with the team, and he would score 2 pole awards, 9 top 10s, 8 top 5s, and 2 victories, finishing 2011 5th in the standings, and for 2012, he'd returned with Gene Price's team once again with backing from Rockstar Energy and Royal Purple, and he was able to have an extremely successful season, capturing a top 10 in all 15 races and a top 5 in 12 of the 15 with 5 pole awards and 2 victories in 2012, which would lead to an exciting points battle between Kwasniewski and his teammate Greg Pursley, with Dylan getting the championship by just 6 points. While Kwasniewski was making his 2012 championship run in the Western Division, he was beginning to make plans for an Eastern Division career as well, with talks of racing of Joe Gibbs Racing, even making 3 starts in the number 20 Rockstar Toyota in 2012, which he would get 2 top 10s and 1 top 5 in 3 East Division starts in 2012. But with that being said, he would not compete with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2013, as he would actually sign on to be a development driver of Turner Scott Motorsports in 2013, driving the number 98 Chevy with Rockstar and Royal Purple back on board for the 2013 K&N East Series season. And this would be arguably Kwasniewski's best season of his career, capturing 3 pole awards, 10 top 10s, 8 top 5s, and 6 victories en route to winning the 2013 East Series championship, becoming not only the first but the only driver to win both the East and West Series titles, but also doing this in back-to-back seasons is something that has yet to be duplicated and may never be duplicated. So then, after his successes at this level, it was time to move up, but not into the NASCAR Truck Series. Oh no, he was going straight to the Nationwide Series of Turner Scott Motorsports, while also having the eyes of Chip Ganassi Racing upon him as well. In 2014, Dylan Kwasniewski would start off very strong by not just winning the pole award for the ARCA race in Daytona, but also he would get the pole award in the Nationwide Series race that year in Turner Scott's 31 of Rockstar Energy as a sponsor. He'd end up finishing 8th at Daytona in his debut race, and it would lead to him completing the entirety of the 33 race season in 2014 with 28 starts in Turner Scott's 31 and 5 races racing in what was still technically Steve Turner's 42 car, but at the same time this was still essentially a Ganassi car. However, while he started out strong with a top 10, the rest of the season would lack and the results would not match up to the hype behind a young driver. In 33 nationwide races in 2014, Kwasniewski would finish in the top 10 in only 3 of these races, with his best finish being 8th at Daytona and Mid-Ohio, and his average finish was 17th place. Needless to say, these results were not what anyone expected, and by the end of 2014, he was dropped by Rockstar Energy and he was not renewed by Turner Scott or Chip Ganassi. From then on, he was only able to do 6 starts in the Nationwide Series in 2015 for Obaika Racing's number 97, in which he would get a best finish of 17th at Kentucky, averaging a finish of 29th place, and this did nothing to benefit his career. Rather, it would end it being the last opportunity he'd get in NASCAR, leading him to a career in real estate where today he is a vice president with Colliers International in Charlotte, North Carolina. So while he has become a success, it certainly was not in the way that most believed he would be in 2011. And my goodness, would you look at the time? We are 15 and a half minutes into this recording and we've only discussed 3 of these drivers. So I think I'm going to take the advice of my wife. I'm going to split this video up. We've been able to do 3 drivers in this part, so for part 2 we'll do another 3 drivers and then there will be 3 more after that. So this will be a 3-part series. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on part 2 if you've enjoyed this one so far. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It only takes a second to do that and it really does help my channel out a lot. If you have any thoughts or opinions on these drivers, please leave it down in the comments. Let's have a little discussion down there. Also, if you're new here and you haven't done so yet, please hit subscribe. It only takes a second. I'm trying to hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. I'd like to do a giveaway when we reach that, so you may be interested in that as well. Also, I'm pretty active on Twitter. If you want to follow me on there, it's at DannyBTalks. Follow me on there and we can communicate there as well. Until then, I'll see you next time for part 2, and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you have a great day. Bye guys.